I would love to get your opinion on what you think about the modern day church in comparison to what Jesus talks about when he says the church.
I think there was a time where church world and church life, there was this aura where this was the house, this was the fence, this is the family. Everybody dressed a certain way on Sunday, but it was a facade.
I think as pastors, what people don't think about is that we are called to grow. We are supposed to be looking more like Jesus each and every year, right? What people don't think about is that we've had to grow publicly. It was very difficult for me. But I do think we still have a hard time with seeing pastors. The world and the church especially, they still don't see pastors as just men or women.
Is church really, is it that important, you know?
Yes.
And man, have you changed my mind, because I feel like stepping into service is really where it's at.
Welcome to the show with high hopes and good vibes. My name is Joe Klein.
And I'm Erica Bankston.
And you're now listening to Cheerful Thoughts.
Hey everybody, today's guests are two people very dear to me, pastors Lee and Lauren Denton, lead pastors at Kibler Baptist Church, where me and my family attend. Not only have we known Lee and Lauren for many years, they have been our very best friends, over a decade. We have wanted to have them on the podcast for some time, and we finally have them here. So excited. Lee is a gifted communicator and one of my very favorite singers. You didn't pay me to say that either. With roots in Southern gospel music as well. Lauren, in addition to her role in ministry, has built a successful career as a doctor of pharmacy. I love to call her Dr. Lauren. Her quiet strength and presence at church would never reveal how demanding her professional world is, which makes the way that she serves even more inspiring. I'm so excited to have you guys. It's hard to put in words how much this church really means to us. The outreach, the people, it's truly the hands and feet of Jesus at Kibler, and it has truly changed our lives being a part of Kibler Baptist. I'm so excited to share this conversation. Let's dive in. And also, this is the first time you've met them, Joe.
Yes,
so
this
I'm
is
so
my
excited.
first time. But also, it's 2026, and maybe this is your first time seeing us for the first time, because this is only like our fourth or fifth episode. So welcome to 2026. I hope everybody's having a good start of your year. I hope you're having such a good start that maybe you have some cheerful thoughts to share with us.
Oh, so many cheerful thoughts. I don't have to pick one.
Yeah, you have to pick one.
Because there's four of us. Okay. Well, I guess my cheerful thought is your new car.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly,
Oh
because it's
She's a
sick.
beaut.
I've never been in a Tesla before.
Okay.
And you're really starting off the
making
year
me blush.
strong with the quarter zip and the Tesla.
Well, okay.
Mr. Fancy Pants.
Fancy.
I always get happy for my friends. Congratulations. That's the cheerful. I probably should let you give that one.
No, but it's okay. You're a hype man.
Yeah.
You're the hype man of everyone's
is
life.
the
Yeah, thank you.
ultimate
That's so
hype
sweet
man.
of you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Definitely.
Ultimate.
What about you?
Oh, it's me.
sis? Yes.
Mine is going to be a Texas Roadhouse steak, and I can't tell you why.
What? What
If you
is
know, you know.
happening right
Kibler.
now?
If you know, you know.
If you know,
I
you
don't
know.
and so that will be fun later.
It's just my cheerful thought of the day. It's
get it.
just what gets
Oh,
me
yes.
through the
Yes,
day.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm checking. I'll just say, like, the right people around you.
Yeah.
The right
Yeah.
people around
Yeah.
you. Just wonderful.
It's energizing for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know. Everything's great. Everything's awesome. Have you heard that Lego song?
Everything is
Yeah, I know.
awesome.
That's
Oh,
what
I have it. Why don't you give us a little
No.
wrap it?
No, I'm good. I don't know. Everything's good. I'm just thankful. Honestly, I'm going into this year just very, very thankful. How can I be
too.
more thankful? My kids are healthy. My friends are good friends who support me. I support them. It's good to have friends who you can share your ups and your downs with, and they don't
Yes.
make you feel a certain way based off of what you're sharing.
Yeah.
Even if they're in a different season of life, I feel like everyone I have around me is there, and those are true friends. So
That's right.
I guess that's my cheerful thought.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's
Good
good.
stuff.
It's a really good one. Well, let's start out. I kind of named this Faithful, Not Flashy, which I don't know if you guys noticed that. And
I did.
And the reason I was thinking in that direction is because I've known you guys for so long. And when I think of both of you, first of all, you guys are a lot like Cody and I too. You've got Lee, who there's no telling what you're doing on the weekends. Probably has something to do with hunting and being in the woods, right? And then you've got Lauren, who I just think you're a blonde bombshell of a doctor, okay? And somehow God just really gave us this powerhouse couple in ministry. How cool is that, okay? But when I think about you guys, I think of humility. And so faithfulness is just written all over you. And I know this is uncomfortable, okay? Because just in that space, it's really uncomfortable to hear how awesome I think you are. But we're gonna talk about it, okay? We're seeing a cultural shift lately, and one of the things Joe and I like to discuss a lot is just what's happening in the modern day church, hot topics. I even shared with them. We almost named this podcast. Do you remember?
Oh yeah,
Do you remember?
church kids.
I love
Church
that.
kids.
I love that.
Wasn't that
Church
it?
kids.
Yeah.
And we all kind of grew
Yeah.
up similarly, but why does church still matter? With that cultural shift, I think the one that's happening is people are returning to the church. I'm seeing that, which is
Yeah.
exciting. Why do you think that is?
Lauren has a really neat thought that she's going to share in just a moment. But let me say first, what an honor it is for us to be here with you guys today. Just to, again, be surrounded by, and of course, our thoughts and hearts with Eric and Cody and the girls and Call, and just what they mean to us is paramount to even who we are. Just the strength that's there, and the real strengths that, pillars are often unseen, but they exist, within building structures. And so that's what Cody and Erica are to us. And Joe, great to meet you finally.
Yeah.
And been watching you just take off, and you've been, doing for a moment, but what an honor it is for us to be here with you today as well and get some time with you. So
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
excited to
Thank
talk
you
to you
guys.
guys. I really am.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us today. So yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, so back to the question. I thought about this a little bit, and I think people are tired. I think they are tired of what the world has offered. I think they've tried it and it's failed. I think they're tired of the isolation that the world has offered. You do you, boo, and as long as it's you, you're going to make it. I think there's something innate within us that God has placed there that desires to be a part of like a fellowship, to be with other like-minded people. I think they're tired of being consumers and not belongers. And I just think that is what they can't put their finger on, but I think that's what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think, in some of that cultural shift, like you're saying, I think it's more of a true to center. I think there was a time where church world and church life, people that went to church, there was this aura of false perfection that was there, where it was like, I think of like the white picket fence era, where this was the house, this was the fence, this is the family, everybody dressed a certain way on Sunday, but behind is the nature that everybody deals with.
Yeah.
But it was a facade, and maybe even unintentionally. Like I don't have any rocks in my pocket. I'm not here to throw rocks at stuff, but I'm here to say I think some of that stuff God has unveiled around everyone, and you've seen the imperfections within church. Sometimes the structure of church and what that is, which the church world in and of itself sometimes demands, and people demand of a thing that's not true to Scripture and true to what the biblical church really should be. And so I think that is part of what is happening. Is there is an authenticity that is more true. And it allows you to come into a space and be honest and real about everyone's needs. And
I think after a few, some seasons of kind of shaking in our culture, in our world, I think people are definitely looking for that grounding, like that true to center. What you said, they're looking for stability, grounding. They're looking for hope ultimately. And guess what? We know where to point them to.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I'd like to chime in a little bit on that. So I kind of grew up in church as well. I was kind of like a PK, giving you guys context. You guys may already know. I know you know. I kind of consider myself a PK, even though my parents aren't pastors. I just had a lot of pastors who took me in as their kids. So I was at all the stuff all the time. Yeah. And I ended up going into ministry, got ordained, and then ended up trying to go to ministry school. It didn't work out. But then working for a church. That's why we ended up in Texas right during COVID. And I say it to say because I think COVID was the biggest. That's when the shift actually started to what we're talking about. And if you really think about it, what's one of the number one tools that the enemy likes to use before the sin actually happens? Isolation. So you get isolated, then you get tempted, and then you're more likely to fall because you're alone. And you feel alone, and you feel like no one cares. So who's going to care if I sin? Who's going to care? God doesn't care, blah, 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 blah. And I think that now we're back in the world. People are tired of being alone. People are going back to work. There's not a lot of stay at home is not like a big thing now. People want to go into the office, even though they have the option. And I think that church is the only place where people are finding real connection. And even deeper than that, small groups.
Yep.
I think that's where you really get those deep connections. And that's what people are wanting. They're tired of saying fake. And I think that, hearing what you said, I know it's a weird phrase, but I think we're looking for a little bit more ugly church. We're looking for some ugly in the church. We're looking for that person to be vulnerable about what they're sinning about, and us not to accept the sin, but to walk through them with it. And I think we haven't been there. And I mean, it's 2026. COVID happened in 2020. We're just now beginning to turn back to that.
That's really good.
I do think we still have a hard time with, and this is off script, of course, because
Please.
Yeah.
Yes.
you're welcome. But I do think we still have a hard time with seeing pastors fail, fall, sin. And I think that's always something that we see it in our circle, as far as the pastors we know. The world and the church especially is still not there yet. They still don't see pastors as just men or women, They see somebody who they bring their expectations, and they are expecting you to look and act a certain way, whether they realize it or not. So
I'm so glad you brought this up, Lauren, because actually my thought process for this episode included what you're talking about, because what we've seen in social media and just media in general, the trends, we see so many pastors who get really, really big, these mega church pastors, and they get so much criticism. They might do 50 things right and get half of a thing right. And it's just this huge piece of news. And one of the things I love that Lee talks about from the pulpit is just how much church matters. And I guess for a while, and you and I have the same experience, we kind of had this deconstruction when it came to church.
Not the clickbait deconstruction.
Not the clickbait, okay.
But like
what are we doing?
Coming to our own, what do we believe?
What do we believe?
We're not accepting what we heard from just a pulpit anymore. We want to find out what we believe for ourselves. That
and
we
church.
Read.
And church, what is church? What should it look like? And, and I think part of the answer to the question of why people are coming back is our kids too. Because you can kind of decide and give yourself time as a young person, but then when the kids come, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get them in church, And you guys have just been such a solid voice in my life personally. When I see people who don't belong to a church, I kind of thought the way they did, even with best friends as pastors, I still was like, is church really, is it that important,
Yes.
And man, have you changed my mind, because I feel like stepping into service is really where it's at, and you've preached this and preached this, but until you truly do that, it's what the church is supposed to do. We're supposed to be the hands and feet, but it's not just outside and outreach. It's being the hands and feet when you walk in the door. I mean, how much we need each other in that community, like you were talking about. And so, thank you for that, because there's not too many. You get up and you say, listen, church is a good thing. You guys are a good, and I don't know that I've seen anyone really defend church like you have. I don't even know that you knew that you did that.
Well, it's also our world. I mean, it really is.
Yeah,
we live, breathe every single day. So
and you see the good.
Yeah, I mean,
you do see the hard stuff, but you
it's
see
few and far between.
And it goes without saying, but maybe needs to be said, like the church isn't the building, and it's the community. And my lens, and no, I mean, yes, but the lens for us and for me is also, it's got to be the biblical model of what church is. And that means you're not strong-arming people, and you're not manipulating people, and you're not driving people. Jesus was a shepherd, and he said, "My sheep know my voice." And so if our role is an under-shepherd, and in pastoring, then we lead people. And that means if nobody's following, then we're also not leading. And so you have to work with and know people and like Lauren said, not in the sense of like ultimate moral failures, but that we're also human too. Like we have off days and other pastors that we love that you guys know, we're human, but people, they want a savior so bad. Yeah. Oftentimes they will place their pastor as a savior. And the reason I know that is because when they see the humanity, they shut it out. And that proves to me and so, that's,
and the world sees that.
Yeah.
It's that scripture we've talked about often together is they will know us by the way we love each other, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And so, of course, we should see that even more so in the church.
Yeah. I have two questions I would love to get y'all's thoughts on.
Okay.
One is, can you kind of talk about what you think the biblical, maybe hierarchy is the wrong word, but in ministry, like what is that level of, okay, I'm a Christian, but God is giving you authority in that realm as pastors. What's the difference there? What do you think that difference is? Because we often talk about how we place higher judgment on people in ministry.
Yeah.
Should we be doing that? Should we not?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that there is a higher calling. So I would love for you to answer that.
Yeah.
Second question is, I would love to get your opinion on what you think about the modern day church in comparison to what Jesus talks about when he says the church. Because he often refers to it, like you said, as a body. But now it seems like some places are a light show, So what do you think?
Yeah. First, I would say that the greatest leaders in the church are the greatest servants. Like Jesus came to serve.
Yes.
And if you start demanding, and we have to wrestle with that, right? Because there can become an entitlement. There can become, where you feel like you have earned a certain thing. Like I'm a recovering legalist. And so I love the idea of the earning and the transactional thing.
Well, it's because it's what you invest in.
Yeah.
You feel like you have a piece of.
Yes.
You feel like you're a part of.
That's right. And that's the other side of that, right? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, is what Jesus said. So again, our heart is there. But back to your question, what does the church, the structure of that look like? Pastors, teachers, leaders, we are held to a higher standard. We're judged to a higher standard by God. That is plain and clear through the writings of Paul. And as someone who is, there is also the young ones, and Paul talks about this, like you're babes in Christ. And so I think there's a proper expectation of people that you're following, that they are somewhere ahead of you, somewhere, wherever that is. But those that are ahead of you aren't ever able to look back and also down on those who are coming along behind, because we're all one and we're all moving together. And the way to do that is through serving, and just recognize like no one is more or less valuable or worth serving, no matter where they are on the ladder, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Because I do not consider myself having arrived anywhere, still growing, still learning, and I've gotten really comfortable with the possibility of being wrong. It is likely that I'm going to be wrong on some things, and also able to just give myself grace in that and just kick away that perfection thing that happens. And that's the unhealthy of church model, I think, that we see, is that people want to elevate into such a way. And Paul says 2 different times, make room for one another's faults. And so I do that, but I'm also allowed to expect that from those that I'm running with. And I can say I've had that. I mean, we get to pastor some wonderful people and have some wonderful people around us.
I think as pastors, what people don't think about is that we have to, we are called to grow ourselves. We are supposed to be looking more like Jesus each and every year, right? But we've been pastors since we were how old?
20, I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's that, it's what people don't think about is that we've had to grow publicly.
Oh, yes.
We have had to grow out in front of everybody. And that is so difficult. It was very difficult for me because
I want to go into
I was
that.
a child
actually.
bride.
I do want to
And
go
no.
into that. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't want to skip
just let her
your. Yeah, I don't want to
clarify
skip. I'll give her a moment, Lee. Don't worry, I got your back. Okay. Did you answer both questions? Because I don't
No,
want to skip over
Yeah,
that
no,
one.
no, we can come back to that. Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
go
I remember
into.
it.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
want to go into your story a little bit because I know Kibler. A lot of us know, but I want other people to hear. Tell me a little bit about your story. How did you and Lee meet? Tell us about it.
it was no, it was not. It was not the 1900s.
1900s.
The 1900s, everybody immediately just,
Oh my
they're
God.
so old. It was 2001. So it was not the 1900s. But I had went to a Southern gospel singing. It was Fordyce on the Cotton Belt. It was in Fordyce, Arkansas.
It's like a festival.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know, where are you from, Joe?
Outdoor.
Brinkley, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Where I grew up, Assembly God. I know where Fordyce is.
Do you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know people from
Fordyce
there.
All right, so
From there.
went to a Fordyce on the Cotton Belt Festival, sat down at a Southern Gospel outdoor singing, and was with some friends, and we were all just laughing, cutting up, and then I just looked on stage, and there was this just angel of the Lord singing up there.
Man, you're shiny. She's buttering you up.
The most beautiful man I had ever seen. But he just had the most beautiful voice that I had ever heard. And that was another thing. And I leaned over to one of my friends, and she was a PK. And I said, wow, he is amazing. And I'm sure I said something a lot different than that, but stay with me. And she was sitting right next to her dad, who was a pastor, and he leaned over and he was like, well, I know him. I can introduce you. And I was like, okay. So after the singing, he took me backstage, but it was an open festival, so it was out back and
Still count.
yeah. And he said, and I said, I'm very nervous, so just, be cool. Just be cool. And he was probably in his 30s or so. So he was like, I got you. I'm cool. We're good. And he said, Lee, I want to introduce you to somebody. She wants your autograph. And I was like, no,
Oh my God.
that's not cool. That's not cool. That's not being cool, man. You're not my wingman right now.
That's
but
so funny.
so yeah, I was shocked at that moment, and he looked at me just kind of like, oh, it's cute. And I still to this day, that's what I almost brought, was the little autograph.
You still have
I still have it in a scrapbook.
Oh
I still have it.
Wait, what year did you say this was?
2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And so
That's sweet.
I was so taken aback by the autograph that I was off kilter, if you will.
That's so funny.
Something came out of my mouth.
It gets better. It gets better.
Something came out of my mouth that I would say doesn't normally, I don't normally think on these things. But I just was looking at him and struck by I guess I was starstruck a little bit. And I said, if you were on death row, what would your last meal be? And he just, that's called Riz. That's OG Riz,
Riz.
okay?
Yeah. Now, I think my first thought was, bless her heart.
Was it?
I wish I could replicate the look on his face. It was literally, oh, she's special. Like, she's special.
Yeah.
She's real cute and all, but I think she's
Wait, how
special.
old were you? How?
15, 16?
Yeah, you're 15.
I think it was on the cusp of becoming 16. He likes to think 16, but I think I was actually 15.
No, at that point, you were. That was in May.
Yeah,
So you were,
but he just kind of, he giggled because you could tell it was a very awkward, weird question. I think everybody around us cringed. They were like, oh, she dropped the ball on that one. But he answered, you said what? Do you remember what you said?
I think I said breakfast.
Yes.
Breakfast would be.
Yeah, you said breakfast. I remember
honestly
you
think
said
it was
breakfast.
Genius, because how is he not going to remember
And
you?
that's how it's done, ladies and
That's how it's
gentlemen.
done. That's
We've
how
been
it's
married.
done, kids.
We've been married how long?
Yeah, 22?
It's fixing to be 23 years.
fixing to be 23.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it all hinged on that. I invited him to Pizza Hut,
Pizza Hut.
and he did not show.
And I declined and went home.
You were like, it's a little young. You're a little
At
young
night?
for me.
I didn't go. No. There was
Would you have went?
no,
I don't know.
and again, I mean, I was in college and she was 15, 16, I guess. I think you must have just anyway. But then our paths crossed. I don't know if you know this. Our paths crossed later on because I'm single and in college, and my weekend is literally singing. That's what we were doing.
Heaven's Harmony Boys. Look them up.
Harmony Boy.
Where'd you go to
Let
school?
us know if you have seen the Heavens Harmony Boys. Okay, and
goodness.
pause for a second.
Yeah.
If you don't know, because I grew up in Southern gospel music, this is a very prestigious situation here.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
If you were going and traveling at churches and singing as the main event,
You have arrived.
and Lee was probably like the main singer. Yeah. He was a hot commodity.
I got to do that with some amazing guys
Emphasis
for
on hot.
3 years, and it really was every weekend, and that becomes a family in and of itself because you go back to the same places and you do homecomings and different things. We packed our own stuff. Don't get me wrong, but we had friends with us. We had a bus
Yep,
at one time.
yep.
Did the whole bus thing.
Dinner on the
had a
grounds
merch. We had a
after.
merch table before merch was a
Let's
thing.
go.
Come on, man. And
I almost brought the CD with me
but
that showed y'all's
just
picture.
leave that in the shelf. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Well, I see.
Yep.
I'll get you.
But so again, single, and someone had asked if I would come do a music for a conference one weekend, and I would.
A women's conference.
Hold on, yeah, that's it, right? And I was like, "What kind of conference?" And they was like, "It's a women's conference." And I'm like, "What better place to be to try to find my wife?" You know,
I've been there. I really have.
than a women's conference. I mean,
Yeah, I served there. Yeah,
this is
I really
great.
did.
Like,
yeah.
It was
Quite a
genius.
few for free.
Yeah, no, I'm telling like fish in a barrel. Let's go. And so I show up, and Lauren is
Honestly, though, if you think about it, it's either going to go really good or really bad for you.
yeah. So we did. We I led worship there at this thing, and Lauren was there. Now I don't think we spoke that weekend much at all. You don't have to. And so my friend was with me.
best part.
I
It's
have
the
like a
best
best
part.
friend that was there, and he ended up sitting closer to her or whatever. And when he and I talked about it later on, but to wrap that part up, Lauren had become friends with family friends of ours. And this family had a gift of hospitality, and she had created her home in a place that teenagers love to hang out at. Miss Rosemary, she taught me how to play guitar. They had the pool, they had the basketball, they had her refrigerator was stocked with Mountain Dews, and it was the kind of house that I just walked in. I just walked in. You didn't knock. You just hey, nobody's home, and then you go find them out back or whatever. But one weekend I had come in from college and I was over at their house and I walked out because we're gonna spend all weekend there, just hanging out. And Lauren is walking up. She had become friends with this woman's daughter, and so
Not
anyway,
intentionally. I was not following him.
We blocked it.
It
soon as you
sounds
said that, I was
really
like,
creepy.
I just now realized.
I promise I was not following
No, she
you.
walked up with a
was not
platter.
right.
So you like breakfast, huh?
I wouldn't put it past me, but no, I did not. It was definitely, I think, a God thing. Just because I'd never seen him, never met him, and then in like a month's time,
We're like
we had
three
ran into each other 3 different times. I think on that 3rd time, it finally stuck. You finally were like, okay, fine.
Yeah, we got some more time together, and anyway, it was just good. Kind of started there.
So, isn't that fun?
Yes. That's a
So
good
20,
story.
and
I
we
love
we
it.
dated for 2 years, and then we married
Until I was legal.
She got out of high school.
Yep, you had to wait.
Which is
Wait a minute.
crazy to think about.
I
Like
know.
to get married
Wait, so
at
how old were you when y'all started dating?
20. I was 20, and she was 16.
Okay.
And I guess
Back in the day.
later on,
Stuff like
Kobe
that
and I
happened.
are 8 years
official.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we
I
made it
mean-
official. So
I did 19 and 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were 20 and 16, and then when she graduated high school, like we were
18 and 22.
we were established. Established that we thought we were, but just like let's go,
had it.
So 18, 22, we want to get married, like let's go, and so
But what's so funny about that is we have an 18-year-old right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, I bet that
Yeah.
hits you sometimes.
and
I was
if
going to ask
he-
about kids, by the way.
And if he
Yeah.
came to us and said, "Hey, I really want to get married," I mean, just the faith that my parents had to have to let me go. I mean, of course, he was a cut above. He really, even as a 20-year-old, imagine bringing a Southern gospel lead singer home who was
yeah,
called
locked it in.
Yeah.
Locked it in.
who was
Karen
called
was like,
into
"Yep."
youth ministry and
Yeah.
she was like, my mom was like, okay, but still it's just a lot of faith just to because at 18 I just wasn't ready for all the world just yet. I just wasn't. I thought I was, but I
Neither
was not.
I, for the record. But
But
there we go.
I think I would laugh at AG if he came to me and asked.
However, I will say, because you are my best friend, I feel like it was an easy choice there because you are the total package.
Oh, you mean for him? Oh,
You were the total package.
oh.
As well. You are the total package. Well, let's talk about the call. And thank y'all for sharing that because that's one of my favorite things.
It's fun.
When did you know you were going to be like a lead pastor? When did that happen?
Yeah, what's your ministry experience leading up to that?
And considering, I don't think anyone ever feels like you're ready. You just don't. And that would probably apply to any space that God is calling you into.
Yeah.
And honestly, like being where we're at now, we've been at KBC for
Almost 10 years.
Yeah, 9.5
that's
years,
crazy
9.5
to me.
years now, which is crazy.
We came in 2016.
Yeah. When I see people and just get to walk with some amazing individuals into ministry opportunities or things that they have on their heart, it's those that are so apprehensive because they feel unqualified that are probably most anointed to do that very thing.
Yeah.
That is
When
good.
people are trying to claw their way to the top, a lot of times they have a smaller gas tank, maybe is a good way to say that. Or there may be, and maybe just growth, and we can be patient and wait on that. But I don't think that I would ever say that I felt like I was ready. I think I had some amazing leaders and
Oh, yeah.
Did.
just like early on,
Yeah.
just pastors that just loved so well.
Yeah.
I did. They worked. I didn't know a pastor that wasn't bivocational. They worked hard for their families, and they worked hard to love their church. And I get to be a part of that church and watch them love students at camps. And they were just always there. They were there at youth rallies and FCA. We started FCA at our high school whenever I was in 8th grade, and it was just such a cool thing. The small town I grew up in was 630 people at the time, and Christianity became the norm. It wasn't perfect, and there were people, but it was like if you weren't a part of that crew in a public school, there was just a good, healthy number of us, and we did everything together. We went to camps together, and then some of the outside towns would come together. Before football practice, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, before every football practice, we would pray together as a team. It was just an amazing time. And look, again, I'm not saying that everything was, but there was such a normal pursuit and a consideration of Jesus being at the forefront. So I had these amazing pastors and leaders. And they just, looking back at now that I've had the opportunity to do that with some, they were just faithful to pour into, and they gave me space to express and recognize some stuff and would call out. And I'm such an introvert, like way more than people realize.
Believe it or not, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty introverted. And then also, especially then I was a lot more quiet, and I think it just became for me to the question of, when did I know or whatever. It just, everything was a sermon. Everything that I looked at, I wanted to relate it to the gospel. I wanted to help people. I wanted to get in the ditch with individuals and help them get out. And I think there was that. But more specifically, a story that comes to mind is I had rejected it and kind of pushed back. Like I didn't want the spotlight. I didn't want the fishbowl look, because look, I mean, again, everybody's got their stuff, they got their things. And I don't want to be under a magnifying glass. I don't like what I see. I certainly don't want everybody else looking at it.
But it's interesting that you say, I don't want the spotlight, but God had gifted him with a voice that was unlike any other. And also just the the calling, the gifting of speaking the word is, I mean, it's just, I know you don't want the spotlight, but it's interesting how it chased after you. And there were even times where you were like, absolutely not, but it still kept coming.
I did, and this is extremely difficult to hear you guys say stuff like that, but I had said, no, I don't want to. Now, music was it. Music was easy.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Were you okay with that spotlight?
Yeah, well, I could hide behind the guitar.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or I could play a piano and not look at anybody.
Yes.
You know? And so that was okay. I was comfortable in that role. But again, it was always pushing towards maybe who was speaking or maybe, certainly towards the Lord. But it wasn't like come to revival with so-and-so.
As somebody who actually witnessed you singing, throughout this time, he's always been very uncomfortable with standing in front of a congregation or people, small or large, and just being the one up there with a microphone singing. You could just tell with his body language that he just, that was not what he wanted to do. He just didn't like everybody looking at him.
Which I will say, to me, I think that's one of the things that makes Lee such an authentic pastor to me. It's because it really does feel like you are just being obedient to what God, and like one of the things you say is you're like, I'm glad everybody showed up today again,
So true.
And when we started, when you came to Kibler, it just grew and grew and grew. And one of the things that I remember, and I'm never going to forget that you said a while ago, is you said, I liked getting in the ditches with people. I mean, that is so both of you.
Yeah.
It's just you. I mean, I've never been in one situation with you where it looks like you are not happy to be there. And I mean, I think that is so cool to hear from a pastor. I enjoy that, but God gave you that deep just desire to be with people and love people,
Yeah.
And it turned into that, I think.
And, to Joe's question there, again, kicking it away and like, I don't want that. I don't want that spotlight. There was a time where I was working with my dad, and we were loggers by trade in South Arkansas, and love that time together. Love those men that I got to work with, and just what that was, and still do, with the other stuff that we do in life. But one time during lunch, I'm sitting there talking with a guy who had just layers after layers of things, weekend behaviors and addictions and things. And they knew, I was a Christian, but he just kind of starts all of a sudden on this red oak log in the middle of nowhere, just he and I. And he starts asking questions and starts talking. And I end up sharing the Lord with him and encouraging him and praying for him. And I get back into the equipment. I'm driving away, and I'm just like, anytime you're obedient, it does something. There is a fire of sorts. And I remember driving away, and I was like, oh, that is so awesome. I've been praying for that guy, and I love that guy still to this day. And it was such a great time. And I remember, as the Lord speaks to us, he was like, so you're going to do this thing or not?
Oh,
Are you going to do what I've called you to? And so what I would say to that, Joe,
that's awesome.
is like, it's not something you step into. Either you're doing it or you aren't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then God kind of lays out and it just kind of unfolds like a rose. And so, if you're not already preaching the gospel, I wouldn't expect that you're going to eventually have a platform to preach the gospel. It's just what you do. And then you grow into that. You don't do it when you arrive. There's an arriving that happens. Case in point.
Yeah. I would like to break that down a little bit for someone who just to make it a little bit simpler, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. Basically, what I'm hearing you say, and I definitely agree, is you want to start doing the act before you start chasing the title. I think that's where we get messed up at. Yeah. We start chasing the title first. Yeah. Oh, God's called me to be a pastor. We're chasing the pastor title, but we're not being a pastor now.
That's right.
So you start being a pastor, and God will lay the foundation to give you the title later, whatever that means. Yeah. But you have to do the work first.
Yeah.
That's right.
You just have to do the thing first.
That's right.
And that's so hard when you want a title to it. You want organization. And you don't always get that.
And people want, again, in that role of pastoring, but I think it could apply also like in your role where people want to be a boss. They want to be like the leader in charge. And I can say from experience, whatever you think it is, it's not that.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Whatever you think it is, it's not that.
Yeah.
But why? Because if we're doing kingdom living, and if we're a boss, whether you're in real estate or construction, whatever it is, but you're a kingdom believer, you're actually a pastor.
Yeah.
That's good.
You're pastoring. Right? You're pastoring, you're shepherding, you're loving, you're tending to. Yeah. You don't get to run in and just, slam down the gavel and drive people into, because that's not God's kingdom within us. And so, I would say, yes, you're not esteeming to and towards the title. And I would say because I think God has to bring you back to somewhere so many times. And it bringing back to those moments for me when I get frustrated or when I get discouraged or whatever that may be, he brings me back to center through those moments when it was just he and I in a tent out in the woods, and I'm just, just seeking him with my dog, and we're just camped out, and I'm like, Lord, I'm here to seek you. And, he takes you back to those moments to remind you why you're doing what you're doing.
That's so good.
That's why I think prayer is so important. And I feel like a hypocrite saying that, because I don't pray as much as I would like to, like a set aside prayer. I pray throughout the day, but like that dedicated in the morning, at night prayer, I think that's so important, because you have to be on mission all the time, depending on, it doesn't matter what occupation you're in, because God's goal is to bring heaven to earth.
Yes.
So that means that if you're in construction, your goal that day is to align with God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go get your orders and bring heaven to earth on that job site, bring heaven to earth during lunch, bring heaven to earth in church, in this person, with this homeless person that you saw who wants money but really needs this. You don't see those things unless you're aligned. And if you're not praying, you're probably not going to get your order for the day. And I think it's so important. And when I do it, I always feel energized. That moment where you say you're driving away, it's almost like this, I don't know, it's just kind of like this holy high.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you want to chase that,
Yeah.
but you can't do it by yourself.
Yes.
If you try to make those moments happen, it crumbles.
I feel like
Yeah.
when I've done something that I know that God wanted me to do and asked, I feel like that is, and Layla came home from camp this past summer, and she told us something that was just so, I don't know if you remember, but so amazing. She had held on to it. She said, do you know what God's love language is? And I was like, love? And she said, it's obedience. And I was like, you're so
That's
right.
so good.
Because whenever I do something that I know God asked me to do, immediately after I do it, that's what I feel is love from the Father. That is what I immediately feel is love. And so, yeah, that's that feeling that when you're driving away.
I love that you said that too and brought up the kids, because of course I love their babies like they're my own
Aunt Rika.
family. Yes. And honestly, I think that's another way that you guys, I really respect and admire you, is when you see, and you've said this, now that AG is older, so they have 3 babies, Piper, Layla, and AG, and she told me, now that AG is 18, this is such a rewarding time
It is.
in life. But I think so many times we see pastors, and this is not in any way to tear anyone down. I don't have anyone on my mind at all, but I think the pastors I admire the most really get it right as parents. As parents and also as a spouse. And I get to see them behind the scenes. And maybe some people would say, oh, doesn't that make it, harder to go to church? It makes it so much easier. And anybody, when I talk about you behind your back, I say, man, they're just awesome. Like everything that you see, multiply that by just 1 million, and that's the kind of people that they are at home. That's the kind of people they are as parents. That's the kind of people they are in their marriage. That's the kind of person that they are as friends. I think where I struggled with maybe deconstruction a little bit with church and with pastors is when you don't see generosity, when you don't see serving, when you don't see the hard things, when you don't have someone that says, I want to get in the ditch with you. I think our generation just wants to see that real. And so I've been very, very blessed. That's why I've been excited to share you guys with people who maybe have that same experience. It's because it does exist.
Yeah.
And I see people on these Facebook pages online. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah.
but they're like, where's a friendly church?
Yeah.
Where's this church? And they
then
want to
everybody gets on and just
what's a
puts
real
theirs.
church? What's a real church? And I keep myself from it, but this is my plug, okay? Kibler Baptist Church is awesome. We've got some awesome churches in our area, but if you've been waiting because you're like, I just don't think those people are real, you guys are the real deal. And I love you very much. Okay, I'm sorry.
I also say this too, because what you're saying is sometimes God will show you things and you're the person to go do the work. So maybe you're like, where's the most friendly church? Because you're going to a church right now that doesn't feel friendly. Maybe you should be the one
agree
leading
with
that
that.
group.
Yeah.
Hey, God's
Honestly,
told me
was
that.
that was a hard lesson I had to learn going through ministry, and then stepping away from ministry because I needed my tank filled. Back, I needed more community. I was tired of pouring and not receiving. When I stepped out of that role, I stepped out of it like this. Oh, where's my small group? Where's that connection? Where's my friends on a Friday night who I also see on a Sunday morning? Where's those people? They're not here. Complain.
That's
Then
so
God's
good,
like,
Joe.
you're the dude.
It's good, Joe.
Like you see what you should be doing.
If you have the heart for something, that's God's first little spark. You know, like we've been doing this a while, but there's of course been a lot of criticism. We hear, why don't you have a singles ministry? We hear, why don't you have a special needs ministry in your nursery? Why don't you have, there's all these things. And I'm like, but if you have
That's good.
that heart, nobody's stopping you from, all you have to do is come and tell us what you want to do and let's get this thing going. So that's
like
a lot of
said,
times
you're
that's
a pastor too. I think great pastors create more pastors.
They're supposed to be.
That's what
They are
that's what we're
supposed to
talking
be.
about.
We are supposed to be raising up pastors, teachers, leaders in our
That's
church.
good. And that was culture back when we were
Yes.
younger. It's not as much culture now.
Yeah. And I think there's something too. I mean, it's such a true thing. The Bible says, show yourself friendly and you'll have friends.
Yes.
But that also doesn't mean that our heart wouldn't be our heart, as believers, as followers of Jesus, that our heart wouldn't be towards that person that feels alone, that feels like nobody sees them. Like I fully get that. But I would also ask, how many people have you invited to lunch? Or invited and did it in a way that you're there to support and stand beside, not pull out of. The church has created such that, like Lauren said, the consumerism versus the belonging, and the methodologies of church growth, even back to the seeker-friendly movement, was where we rolled out the red carpet and the lights, as you say, and we really kind of spun away from the biblical model of coming in and being a part of the body of Christ. And I've said this before, and it's a stout thing, but if you can easily dismiss yourself from attending a community of worship, even from Sunday to Sunday, it will, like, once God has planted you somewhere, and you can easily dismiss yourself from arriving and being there, then I would say that you have just admitted that you think church is about you.
Yeah.
Because it's not about, like, I don't show up to church for me. And I don't show up to church because I get to do it and they expect me to be there. We go there because one, to worship and all of this, but I also get it. Like, I can worship God by myself and I can worship, but man, there is such a strength behind getting around people of like mind and like heart and like faith. And then I do get to get in some ditches with people. And then sometimes I will find myself in a ditch and I don't even realize it. And somebody will come along also in that place and they'll be there and jump in there with you. And so again, I think the whole idea that church has been made something that it was never meant to be. And it's just got some rough edges, but I think God is kind of bringing us back to center on a lot of that.
Let's not forget that it's biblical to meet. I mean, Hebrews says that we are not to neglect meeting together as one. Like, it is biblical. If you can excuse yourself from that, what else are you excusing yourself from?
Come on and preach.
And it's not easy to hear. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't go to that church because this. I don't go to church because this. But they're probably also not doing what they need to be doing at home, because if they're able to excuse themselves from church, what else are they excusing? They're just writing off from the word, and that's really hard. And you can, sorry, that's
that's good. And honestly, I think one of the things that is always, and I said it in my intro, but you have a full-time job. You are literally a doctor,
Yeah, she does.
I have
a pharmacy.
drug
And
dealer.
it is unbelievable
Legal.
to me. I think for me, I was so focused when we became friends. I was like, oh, getting to church is just, it's going to be a lot to make it, because I drive all the way. Lauren's done picked up 2 things of food for everybody. She's got a shower after church that she's heading up. And anytime that anyone doesn't show up, you step in. And I've never heard you complain. I would consider myself one of your closest friends.
I would complain to you.
You do not complain. You do not complain.
Okay.
You do not complain. And matter of fact, it's hard to even help you because you never tell me that you need help.
That is true.
It is true.
But you're the same.
But it's
Kick it back.
if man, I think that for me, like Lee said, I think just everything that we're going back to is that service, that servant's heart. And maybe if you don't have that, and this is where I find myself sometimes, is just needing God to rimind me.
Yeah, for sure. This conversation is a reminder to me.
To me for sure.
It's not. So when you're busy with the things of God, it's hard to put that down and clock into church. It's hard for me to want to go to. I don't want to go to church at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't.
Yeah.
But I do, and I feel good that I did that after.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it too. When I'm in that mindset, it's no one's going to care that I didn't make it, blah, 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 blah. But somebody there needed you to be there. And you don't even know it.
That's right.
You grow up where between, I'm 29 to 40. I'm going to say 40. I'm going to cap it there so I can be safe.
You had 4 years to play with. So
we're 29 to 40, and we hear these stories.
Yeah.
Maybe you've had them yourselves or your friends where you're like, oh, I remember just seeing that person worship in church
That's
or
so
go to
true.
church, and I never said a word to them. Those people are watching you. There are kids watching me, watching each one of us. When we go, they're checking our consistency. They're seeing how we worship. They're seeing how we serve. They're going to our social media and seeing how we speak publicly. They're looking at all those things, and we have to be aware of that. It's definitely happening. And so, no, we may not be going to be. I would love to hear your opinion on this too. I don't think you go to church to receive all the time. You go to pour and be filled.
Yes.
But it's not, you don't go there all the time where your hands just open I'm here to be served.
Yeah.
I don't think, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely the biblical model. The body functions. Every part of our body functions within itself. And so, we're there to give, and in giving, we're also receiving. I think a lot of times, and again, if where you're at, I can be tired at the end of the day on a Sunday, but I'm never not also full and reflective to what God has done. Because look, the success of the gospel isn't just what we see. There's a lot more to that. There's the seeds that are planted. There's the watering. And you got to be okay with that. And people get discouraged and they get frustrated in it, but that's just God's kingdom. That's the way
You're talking about the metrics. It's not all about the metrics.
100%. Yeah.
This many people came. And,
it can't, and we'll tell our staff, you can't say that numbers don't matter because if the number is 0, it matters.
True.
And so you can't say numbers don't matter, but that's not the scale. But because the masses said crucify. So just because the majority is doing it doesn't mean it's a good thing. Is it a God thing? Is it biblical? Are we grounded, centered? Can we endure? Those kind of things. So to your point, I think you're going there. If we're like this, then we're saying, God, how are you leading today? How are you leading me today? What function can I have in this body, in this community of believers?
I've learned at church, have my head on a swivel. I'm grown enough at this point. I should be. I'm not always, but I'm grown enough at this point to, instead of just coming in, and I'm late a lot, but
Cody's late.
It's Cody.
He's late.
It's Cody. But when I look her, I'm like, it's almost like the Lord just says, wake up, look around. Is there anybody that that needs me, not me, but needs him? And I can it's simple. It's very simple. If you, like you said, if you're obedient to what God is trying to tell you, then this is an opportunity. And that's a new word that I'm loving to use lately, is just seeing everything as an opportunity.
Yes.
But I think that's what you're not able to get from doing church at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
is you're not able to get those people who they can hold you when you're going through grief.
Yeah.
They can pray with you at the altar.
Yeah.
They can be there when your kids are baptized. That community, that hands-on, being the hands and feet of Jesus, that is something that is not easily as transferable
That's right.
through a screen.
That's exactly right.
And there's nothing wrong with if you have to watch from a
Yep.
screen every
Yep.
once in a while, or if you're homebound and that's what your situation is, you got to do what you got to do. But for people to dismiss going to church because of this and that, that's the type of things you're missing.
Yeah.
Is that.
All right. So this segment, I want to talk about the weight and the wonder of the long haul. And that's something you said you've been at Kibler for 9.5 years. Yeah. And this is really not to, it's just to give context. How many people do we have at Kibler now?
Any given Sunday will be, 550 to 650, give or take a little bit.
One service?
Right. I think what's so crazy about that is when people hear Kibler Baptist Church and you've not been to Kibler, you're going, but it has grown exponentially.
And let me say, like these guys, our family is amazing, and they tolerate just the crowd, the pickup, the drop off, the parking lot. Like it's just amazing what they tolerate out of inconvenience to be together. So
I'm usually the one on the road that they're having to put out, like they have to go get chairs.
It's not a huge building, right?
It's a gym.
It's a gym.
It was created to be a gym.
Okay, I've been there.
Yeah. And then they had come up, and then we renovated and spun the room to get a few more seats, and kids ministry is thriving, and it's just amazing.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to build. That's a little plug, but we are going to build.
Yeah. It's so close.
I know some builders.
Yeah.
Right? We've tried to get them on board.
They've been a help. They've been a great help.
So many people chase newness, new churches, new ideas, new trends. But what fruit have you seen come from staying? Staying in the same place,
Yeah, I think, the older I get, at 44 now, is words like endurance and longevity and remaining, abiding. Jesus said, "Abide in me." That's not just a concept of abiding in Christ. Like that's the primary, that's the main. But there is so much to be said of root systems that Scripture also speaks of. And what you can endure just by remaining. I think in the consumerism culture that is there, and this is nothing new, it's been said before, but people they pick and choose in such a way that they rob themselves of the deeper richness of true discipleship, where you grow through the pain of, you go through the separating and the distance, and is this somebody I really want to stay connected to? Because here's the thing, and that even flows over into marriages and different things. Like if you leave a church, and there are right reasons to leave, if there is the wrong type of leadership, if there is a spiritual abuse is a real thing. We've endured that. I've endured that. Had some great leaders, but I have also encountered, what I think could be categorized as spiritual abuse. And maybe that is reason to leave. Like we left Grace Point, the church that we had planted. So God does transplant people. But I do think a lot of times people leave as if they're going to find a place that also doesn't have baggage. And doesn't have imperfections and doesn't have things. And those things are going to be there also. It'll just take you time to see it and find it. And you'll enjoy the honeymoon, and it'll be great, and it'll be grand, and you'll think they're the greatest thing. And hopefully that remains the case. But in the end, Jesus came for those who were sick. And we say it all the time, like nobody's normal. I love doing this at the church, and I do it all the time on purpose because I ask, if anybody is normal in the room, would you please stand? And then nobody stands up. And I ask everyone to look around the room. So this pursuit of perfection, or where everybody feels normal, it's just not there. And Jesus came for those who are sick. It's you don't shame people for going to the gym to get in shape, and you shouldn't shame imperfect people for going to the church to pursue the perfect one. We're not even pursuing perfection, because that would be a false pursuit, wouldn't it? We are pursuing the one who is perfect. And then in that retrospect and that reflecting, that that's what we become.
I would say on my end, what is so neat to see is the growth in families and in individuals. You get to see not only just physical growth, but spiritual growth. And it's almost like true discipleship. Like you get to see it from start to finish the longer you stay. And that is what's very rewarding for us. And then deep roots also, it's just God has given us, God has transplanted us from family. For the majority of our marriage, we have been away from family, and that's hard sometimes, but we also don't even realize how hard it is because God has not replaced, but God has brought alongside people who He's given us relationships similar to family, like bonds. You know what I mean? Bonds that are like family.
Yes.
And that's just a miracle. I think that's just God sprinkling just a little bit of, I didn't have to, but I did that. And it helps us. It also helps us with our roots here. Just our friends that are like family and our church friends that are like family.
Yes. Yes.
I think Erica spoke on this a little bit, but I think the world that we live in today, you have a lot of people who are in jobs, a lot of people, unfortunately, who are in church who are just burnt out. Yes, some moms, some stay-at-home moms who are just burnt out. And I think one of the things that we often do to avoid burnout, or once we face burnout, what we do is we try to come up with change. What can we do new? And I think that's a lot of the reason why we chase these that's why you have these trendy churches who are doing these things. But I think that when you abide,
That's my word for 2026.
it's the energy. Like that's the battery that keeps you going, that keeps you from burning out. And so you guys have abided off of that, from that place. What type of fruit do you feel like you've experienced in abiding instead of changing to avoid that burnout?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. I agree. I think that the staying power, those words, like I said, longevity, when I look at pastors that have been serving at a place for more than 10 years, I know that they've gone through some mountains and valleys. I know that they've encountered some of the harder things about what is church life. And this is a reason why I think church life is challenging, because it is the only organization that someone will choose to be a part of that is specifically designed to bring diversity. Everything else that we are a part of, whether it's friend groups, whether it's people that we hire in, whether it's social groups that we're a part of, organizations that we're a part of, a lot of times those people all look the same, act the same, think the same, talk the same. The church, in God's design, is designed to be the most diverse thing that the world has ever known. And then Jesus says they'll know who you are by the way you love one another. That is the challenge of the church. That's what's so hard. And so we want to find these things and these lanes to get into, and well, this is my lane and that's your lane, and if you're not in my lane, then we're not going the same direction. And again, that's part of the divisive, what is even American culture right now, is that we can't be pursuant to the same thing and not agree on everything. There's that. But anyway, to the point of, your question, Erica, it's just the richness of, Lauren said it so well, when you get to see families grow through, when you see marriages grow through their tough times, when you sat with couples that said, we think we're done. We don't want to be, but we think we are. We don't know where to go. And you're able to lock arms with them as a couple and walk with them towards health and healing and restoration, and just navigate that. And then you see, them worshiping together on a Sunday morning.
It's loving people beyond convenience. It's convenient to come in, swoop in, fix problems, and then, but if you are in for the long haul, you get to be a part of the whole thing, and you get the reward at the end as far as just getting to see God work from the beginning to the end. It's
with that, to kind of, because this is going to have to be longer, but at some point, but I do have one question. If there was something that you someday, when we're all gone, and our kids are thinking back on our legacy and things like that, what is the one thing that you want to be known for as a pastor, as pastors? If you could say one thing that people remember about you.
I would like to be known as one that was faithful to point in the right direction. One that was obedient to that. You know, we want to be obedient. We also know that there are times when my flesh screams, you know, like I don't want to go or I don't want to be. And when my kids look at my life, Alexander sent me a text the other day, you know, and it was just him just being who he is. But it was saying all the things that a dad always wants. You hope that your son feels that way about you. You hope that he sees the things that you've tried to exemplify before him. And he just said those things. And again, pointing them to, I don't need the church to love me. I want them to. I don't need them to love me. I need them to love Jesus.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
I
good.
need them. And that'll get in the way. It'll get in the way of me. If I'm showing up to preach a sermon thinking, again, recovering legalist, recovering people pleaser, if I need them to love me, that is immediately going to muddy up what the real goal is. I need them to love Jesus. That means hard conversations, but more, in my experience, it's more difficult on me. It's the sanctifying of me that I'm able to lay my pride aside or have a rant with Lauren or maybe one of my friends and then realize, wow, that was really soulish and really rooted in my selfishness. And then be thankful. I'm glad I didn't say that with a microphone in my hand, you know, and you realize, but that's part of the process. And so, that we were faithful to, and everything that we do together. I want to say this, just in case there's not another space. We do what we do together. Like she has never, not once in all of our years of marriage, given me a hard time about being gone into the evening to be with a couple or be with a family. It doesn't mean it doesn't create some like, what are we doing? We've had those conversations. We've had those, we don't want to keep going this way. This is not going to work. We're going to crash out with each other, with family and everything, and nothing else matters beyond that. And so we've had to have those conversations and had moments of healing and restoration and wholeness together. But what we do, it's me walking through the door to a smile. Oftentimes, Lauren loves to serve her family. She's a wonderful cook. She assumes that role on her own, and she serves us so well. And I walk in oftentimes. She's like, "What time are you going to be home?" And in the modern era, that's not a gift that I feel like a lot of people get.
No,
but I get that with her. And again, we're together, and she supports. But she not only supports, she's there.
Yeah.
She's behind the scenes a lot of times, but she's texting, she's checking in, she's loving on, she's gives me heads up on we might want to pay attention to this. And by we, she means you.
Yeah.
You might want to pay attention to this and see whatever. And so as we have grown in that, because that hasn't always been the case, where we felt like we were doing this thing together with her career, my career, even outside of pastoring, things that I was pursuing. There were times where we were just passing each other in the hallways and raising kids and raising family. And it got very destructive to us as a couple and then coming back together. And I would say now that, you know, her giftings have expanded. You know, I feel like I've grown a little in mine also, and just understanding of each other and being very comfortable in that. And so loving the church together and watching her do what she does is also part of that staying. It's staying because it creates security for her, which is important to her. And we're not hopping every 2 years. Yeah. And requiring our kids to get to know new families, new people, creating the fracturing in the body of Christ, because it always is some shape or form. And so there's just a lot of health, I think, ultimately to staying.
Yeah. Man, I love that. And I love hearing you brag on my bestie too. You can do that anytime you want to.
I was just like,
because she is, man. Okay. I'm going to give you all a break for a second, and we're going to play a game. Now, I did not. Jody, do you want to say anything else, though? I just hopped right into that.
Good.
We're going to play a game.
He said it all.
He did say it. He said it. I'm telling you, the most excellent communicator. I love Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights. I've been coming to Wednesday nights too.
I agree. To be married to somebody who is an excellent communicator, just imagine that for a moment. As far as when you get flustered or you trip over your words and he's already got a 3-point sermon on, on how to real
change
problem
it, fix
is.
it.
Yeah.
But no, we've been through a lot as far as, in our marriage, but things have really honestly just gotten so much sweeter.
God is so good. And
Yes.
I tell Cody this too. I mean, we're in that phase of marriage where it's finally just, it feels like this.
Yeah. It feels like, what it feels like?
It's like
A ride in a Tesla is what it feels like.
That's what it
feels
Don't worry,
like.
Joe. Someday you'll get there.
No, I'm like y'all right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm in exactly where all of y'all are talking about that you came from.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
there
okay.
right now.
This game is called What Would Lee Do and What Would Lauren Do?
Oh, no.
It's going to be so fun. I'm so
Joe.
excited. They don't know anything about
Unscripted.
this.
Here we go.
Joe.
Alright.
Oh.
Okay, Joe, do you want to start it?
Yeah. No. Erica did the game today.
I did the game
Sometimes I do the game, but she has it.
You usually do
You
the-
own this right now.
Okay.
Okay.
A church member calls at 10 p.m. in crisis. What do you do, Lee?
What's needed? Where do we go?
He hops in his truck. I can
Yes.
see.
Yeah, a lot of times it is. It's genuinely what's needed. But everyone's emergency doesn't mean it's my emergency.
Sure.
And sometimes that means let's meet first thing in the morning.
Yep.
There's different ways to navigate. And
What's Lauren do?
yeah, Lauren says do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Or for her, she'll go and get on the phone with somebody,
Yeah.
and we'll dismiss ourselves from the house and walk up and down the driveway, or take a walk, or take a drive, or whatever.
Usually, if it's something of a sensitive nature, he doesn't give me details. He doesn't, but he'll usually give me a gist of something that I can start praying about. And so that's what I'll do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And take care of the home so he can go do what he needs to do at the moment if he does have to leave. So
I've seen you guys do this all the time.
yeah, we've been out before with friends and in a different city and received a phone call where he had to immediately leave. And one of my best friends, Amanda, it was our first double date together. We were getting to know them, and we were at Sassy's in Fayetteville, and he received a phone call, and it was an urgent. He had to get in the car and leave. And, I had to be the third wheel all the way back home
wow.
from
I
Fayetteville
forgot
with
about that.
Kevin and Amanda, and lasting friendship built right then.
There you go.
And there's always a balance between family and me being with my family
Yep.
Yeah.
versus does it constitute an exit of that
Yeah.
to go and
This
do.
one did.
And it normally it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear on which is which, and so.
This one's already making me giggle. Are you
All right,
gonna
I got it.
I know.
Let me set the
It's making me
scene.
giggle.
Go.
You bring it down the house. You're preaching. You're moving around. You even feel good about it. You're like, I like that people are looking at me today. Someone stands up, puts their hands up, and says, "Can I sing
In church,
in church?"
Oh my goodness.
What do you do?
We have had people.
It's gonna be Joe next Sunday.
Are you planning on being there Sunday, Joe? Are you going to do this to me?
I'm not gonna ask if I can sing. I'm good.
can I sing a special?
That's what I'm doing.
Can I sing a special?
We're going to sing a special. There have been times where we hand a mic to someone or somebody has something to say. And look, I'll move with the moment. I think it's just a matter of, not to get too technical here, but it's just a matter of who has the reins.
Yeah.
And if the room knows that you still have the reins, that's one thing. And people can endure a little bit, and it's going to be something to talk about later. But there have been times where somebody stands up to say something, and lights are there, and I'm like, yeah, and I thought it was one guy, and it was a guest. It was somebody I didn't even know.
No.
And when
Yes.
he stood up and started talking, I was like, this could be bad. But again, I got the microphone, and so we're okay. And they said the thing, and I kind of corrected a little bit about what they said, but it was okay. It wasn't disastrous.
Yeah.
It wasn't disastrous. Again, we don't have to be perfect.
So basically, is the answer? It depends on the person, or it depends on
Just depends on the
Holy
discernment.
Spirit.
Depends on where we're at in the service and what's going on. I mean, I've said to a guy before, again, there was one time where somebody took off a little bit, and I took off also.
I just can't imagine giving the mic to someone with 500 other people in there.
Yeah.
No,
It's scary.
it's dicey.
Yeah.
There's a trick that they say. It's like, because if you're using a handheld and somebody's talking, that you hold
it.
the mic, and they'll try to take it every time.
Yeah.
Everybody does, and you just don't let go. You got to commit.
so funny.
You have to commit to holding. Look, we're going inside track today. Yeah, you got to hold the mic. They're going to try to take it, and they'll even grab it and pull away, and you're like, no, I'm not letting
Now
go.
everybody knows his
You have
trick.
to hold it. So
That's funny.
That's funny.
anyway, and then that way you can
If
always.
he's holding the mic for you when you get up
Oh
there,
no! You better give me that mic. You better give me that. Okay. What if someone calls and asks you to attend their dog's baptism?
Yeah, there are little things
They're serious.
that you can move into to get away and get out of stuff. That's very gracious.
You're going, Lee. You're
for
going
it.
to that
Yeah.
baptism.
No,
I
I'm
know
not.
you.
family friend's
Look,
dog.
I can say I'm not going to a
Are you
dog's
going?
baptism.
Are you going?
No.
I would go to
I feel like you would go
Red's
if I called you. I knew
family
you would.
dog baptism.
Why are we
will-
baptizing dogs?
I don't know.
All dogs go to
That's family
heaven.
that go to
All
heaven.
dogs go to heaven.
Yeah.
Pick one more that you really like.
Okay. You accidentally text the wrong person. Do you double down or clean up or come clean?
No, that's a true story. You just come clean. Like, yeah, you just say, sorry, that wasn't for you. There have been times where I have played along and it worked out well. Like if it was somebody that was younger or newer at the church or whatever. This happened just the other day where I was texting my nephew about something his dad, does your dad have this for Christmas? And literally my nephew's name is the exact same name of a guy who had just gotten saved at the church like 4 months prior. But it's been a little bit in and out, I haven't seen him a whole lot.
The conversation
and the conversation was I was so confused. I'm like, why is
That's
he
when
answering
it'll
this
really
way?
get you,
And then finally he said something and I was like, oh, I felt
Wrong
the
guy.
blood, and I was like, and so anyway, I just told him straight up. I said, so here's the deal. My nephew's name is your name, and at the beginning I thought, but here we are, and he actually started confessing just some needs for prayer and some different things, and I said, and I sincerely mean this. It's not just cleaning it up. I sincerely mean it. I said, I believe that we are supposed to communicate today.
That's cool.
And you should know that God sees you. And I'm here for you if there's anything that I can do. So I mean, there's ways to spin it into what can be healthy, but it's not an insincere spin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's an interesting way of recruiting.
That's right. 100%.
Let's
Start
text some
sending out
people,
memes.
act like there's somebody else today.
And then be like, this
you're
was God.
During your church meeting.
This was God. This was God. Again, I said in the
That's so
beginning, like
good.
I've learned to give myself permission to be human,
Yeah.
which is some of what Lauren was talking about earlier. That hey, I'm gonna miss it. I expect that I'm going to. I don't desire to. I don't want to.
I
That's
get
not
a
my
front row
target.
seat when he misses it.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
At home. No,
What do
he
you
doesn't.
do
Yeah.
if you accidentally text someone that you meant to text somebody else?
I call you
Yeah.
or
You're like, that was
text,
my
and I'm
bad.
like, yeah. What do I do? What do I do?
Oh no.
But now there's this cool
You can
undo
unsend
send
it.
Yeah.
feature
That's
that I
always
go and
scary,
quickly
'cause
do.
You're like, did they see it?
They say.
yeah.
Have you ever unsent something?
Oh, I unsend every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say there's
I think you've unsent to me.
I've
before.
Oh, a
seen
lot.
a lot of you do the text what is it called?
Voice text?
Yeah, voice
You-
text.
Wait.
Siri messaged
He does
me
this
up.
all the time, and he has like he'll say some
It'll mess it
things
up.
and it will
Just
will
saying.
translate to some wordy dirds sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and he's accidentally sent that to
Oh yeah, it's happened to me.
Have
people
done
in the
that
church.
to church people. It
I've
was,
to
done it.
staff members,
It was-
to staff you.
it was that was a tough story.
Yeah.
But-
This one likes
I think you
to.
said we need to get this ship turned around.
Oh yeah, that's a dangerous one.
Yeah, you got to be
You gotta
careful with the
avoid
word
the
I
ship.
don't do that anymore. Now, if it's really long, I just audio and they can hear my voice,
what you
and
do.
it makes it
You
so much
audio
better.
all-
Because
he
I
taught
don't
me how
want
to do
I don't
that.
want to have to, say it out and then proof all of that.
Yeah.
like let's
That's
just,
it.
especially if
Yeah.
it's longer. And so
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's
I
my world.
still
I didn't know you
read
did that.
the text translation of your audio messages, though. I
that's
still
good.
That's
I
fair.
do.
I do that to you
Yeah.
sometimes. Y'all, those were fun.
Thank y'all for coming on
Thank you.
today.
Thank you
we
guys
have to
for
do a
having
part
us.
2.
Was
You
this
guys
the
are
first
amazing.
podcast ever?
Yeah. Especially, I mean, you guys are amazing.
For you
So
guys.
this is wonderful.
So, I think
I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like you guys need your own for sure.
Oh yeah.
I've said this.
You guys are amazing. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
What a
Thank you so
great
much.
time.
I know your
Yes.
time is very valuable,
Yeah.
both of you. So thank you. And I'm
That's
excited
fine. I'll
that
bill
Joe
you.
got to meet you and y'all got to meet Joe.
Yeah.
buddy.
Oh yeah, you're a good
Yep.
cook. So now we got to get this hangout bonfire, and you're cooking.
Yep.
Definitely
We're
good
hanging
cook.
I
and
don't know.
playing music beside the fire.
Let's
I
go.
can tread water. He
Let's
can
go.
sing way better than I can cook.
All right.
So
What's up for
hey,
today?
I can make you a rad charcuterie board. That's
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
yeah.
That's right.
That's good. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
All right. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Thank you, Lauren and Lee, for joining us on Cheerful Thoughts. We hope you guys have a wonderful week. See us next time.